So, the moonlight pouring out from the door fades away, clamping shut behind the now open doors and revealing the path beyond. You see a slightly wavy hall of polished yet uneven stone before you. You see veins of mica and bits of iron-rich minerals within bumpy and smooth stone, coursing through the walls and the floor. The walls on either side are filled with statues. Statues of armored Aarolendei standing no less than 20 feet tall and standing in between ornate stone balconies that rest 15 feet from the ground. However, though these balconies are ornate and well sculpted, you see ledges and lips perfect for guard positions, and think these may once have been used for guard towers in distant past. Thinking this, you notice large rooms that exist beyond these postings, perhaps barracks of some sort. The statues loom ominously over you as you travel through the hall, seeing at least 6 balconies on either side and their carved forms between either of them. Eventually, after about a minute of walking, you are confronted with a split in the hall, the path crashing against a jagged stone formation that cuts into the path like a knife. The structure appears to have 2 more Aerolendish soldiers carved into the flat surface upon its imperfect diamond shape. Each of these standing around 35 feet tall and wielding a large twin glaive in front of them, shoving it down into the stone and holding it just in front of their pelvis. You see small windows carved into the stone and doors that carve into the lower half between the glaives of the statued Aerolendish legs. The door frames appear to be carved to look as if water were spilling from a single hole rimmed with runes that pours around the edge of the doorway. The water carved so elegantly you might believe it to be flowing. At the very top of the wedge-shaped structure, you see ramparts, as well as small towers that jut out just underneath its pinnacle and act like a crown to the stone. However, the path looks to open drastically on either side, the ceiling stretching many dozens of feet past the structure. You begin to walk around the massive wedge of uncut stone. You feel the pressure of the air change, and you feel a coolness in the air, as if you were sailing on the ocean on a summer's evening. Your nose adjusts before your eyes, and the first scent to drift into your nose is that of churned and beautifully rich soil. You smell the iron, mulched, sediment-rich stone. You smell the work of worms and the product of time. It fills the air like a gift from Demeter and Bela themselves and caresses your very soul with the same nourishment it may offer the plants that you know grow so furtively from it. You smell the scent of water, though it reminds you somewhat of a bath. The same sensation tickling your mind as the scent fills your nostrils. The feeling of warmth and comfort that coexists so effortlessly with the anticipation of a hot spring. Your eyes, still struggling to adjust to the light that now streams freely into the massive space you feel yourself entering, are blinded momentarily by the sudden shift in illumination. But the touch sensation is not affected, and you feel the carved stone path underneath your feet. It feels almost as if you were walking upon obsidian, the small ridges and lips reminiscent of Hero's Peak, though there is a grain you sense within the soles of your feet that tells you otherwise. Along with this, you feel grooves as your feet slide along the path, the separation of bricks, no doubt. Non-uniform, but purposely done, no doubt, as you feel the sense of chaos within their placement, regardless of their lack of uniformity. But instead, it is a calmness you feel. And so strange this calmness is, begotten by a stone path. But it is akin to a dance within the stone, and you find a sense of calm regardless of how strange the origin of it may be. You begin to feel the open air open up before you. You feel the pressure of being beneath the stone lift from your ears and feel your skin sing once more as what seems to be fresh mountain air caresses your face. And then, just as you push fully past the wedge-like structure that blocked much of your vision, your eyes finally adjust to the light and you see it. You see an absolutely gorgeous lake stretch out before you, lit by a massive stone sun above and lined with an equally gorgeous city that spans around it. The water appears to shimmer strangely, glowing and giving off a borealis-esque hue, like nearly transparent ribbons of light that gently waft just above it. The stone sun is that of a massive garnet, much like the one you saw in Kern Makkur, though this is not embedded within the stone, nor is it hanging from gargantuan chains. Instead, it appears to hang effortlessly within the air, with not a single binding in sight, simply floating nearly 150 feet in the air just above the center of this picturesque subterranean lake. However, the lake is simply the first thing your eyes see. It is far from the last. As your eyes travel, they struggle to take in the majesty of all that exists around you. You catch your bearings, finding yourself standing behind the wedge-like building, seeing its backside. 2 more 35-foot statues carved into the sides as well, the other side of the diamond. But these Aarolendei are not armored, but instead appear to be in togas, holding books and grain within their arms, with large smiles across their immaculately carved faces, both of either side of the diamond, and with 2 more doors leading into the wedge between their legs. They gaze fondly over the city, which is built along both sides of the mountain lake. However, the lake is not empty. You see as much as you look back from the diamond, seeing a path stretching out before you, a 20-foot wide stone road that protrudes out into the lake. You stand about 8 feet above the surface of said lake, the path winding down softly to the left before arcing back to the right and traveling just above the water. Looking closer, you see the surface of the lake and the top of the path are nearly uniform, allowing the small wake to lap upon its surface, creating small puddles and sloshing across the stone before tumbling back into the large body of water it originally came from. At the end of the path, you see a large temple resting upon an incredibly lush green island, its form covered with trees, puncturing the near carpet of brush and moss that is consumed amidst the magical lake. However, the sight of it sends anxiety through your gut, seeing the same architecture you too had seen within Selm, the same large cluster of immaculate stone pillars hold a massive stone gable roof upon them, with thick centerpieces separating the 2 moldings and depictions scrawled within, again, reminiscent of a large ancient Grecian temple. However, what eases your anxiety is what exists behind it. Behind the temple, you see an absolutely massive statue of a woman, possibly 70 feet tall, towering above much of the city, and looming like a goddess might above the temple that lay just beneath her. Her hair is wavy, pushed off her forehead with a tiara of sorts that appears tangled with a mess of thick, luscious hair. Her eyes are partially closed, looking down at the city that lay around her and at the temple just below. She wears an ornate toga-esque robe that appears to clasp firmly at her left shoulder, though layers of it fall from her neck like water. The stonework again tricks your perception as you believe the cloth may begin to wave within the stagnant air, yet it does not. You see designs upon the many edges of each layer, runes of arcane and depictions of the moon and stars, all carved effortlessly within the marbled stone. Her face is beautiful, and as your eyes rest upon it, you recognize it, the same visage from the door, the goddess Hecate. She holds a massive vase, which lets loose a large stream of water that tumbles into the lake like a waterfall, letting loose a large cloud of mist that encompasses the back of the temple and creates a half rainbow just below the vase's mouth. Your ears now adjust, and you hear the gentle rumbling of water as it crashes upon the lake below. You hear the rumbling echo carelessly through the stone, nearly creating a symphony and easing away the anxiety you just felt. You then look around the lake. You see the city proper, built upon the ridges of the lake as well as upon an extremely wide shelf that exists just before the mountain consumes it, creating a rim around the lake, somewhat like a bowl. You see homes, storefronts, small temples, and greenery sprouting from the stone, all in the same style you recall in Selm to have been built in. You see the almost temple-like designs of each of them, pillars holding the second floor aloft while accenting their form with intricate carvings of trees, vines, and fellow Aarolendei. Some of the buildings appear 1 story, while others appear to stretch as high as 4, but all of them are made of marbled stone, no wood in sight, with the exception of the trees that sprout so gleefully around them. Like weeds growing in the cracks of sidewalks, they seem to accent the city so well while growing so voraciously within. Some of the roofs are gabled with green stone shingles, while others are flat with ramparts that allow for the growing of rooftop gardens. Some are adorned with the remnants of stained glass, while others appear to have open, glassless windows similar to what you've seen in Tristfall. And as you look at this, you see the true scope of the city, wrapping around the entire lake, which looks to be about 1.5 miles in diameter from where you stand to the other end. But what's more staggering is that the rim looks to be around 1/2 mile deep at any given point into the stone away from the lake. All of it packed with something, whether that be structures, courtyards, or greenery. Before this residential area, however, to the right of you, you see farmland with incredibly dark soil speckled with white, and growing from it are absolutely overgrown crops of berries, fruit trees, wheat, and corn, all of it absorbing the light of the magical sun so happily. The farmlands are huge, more than acres of it, all growing within the rich, nutrient-rich, and fragrant soil of the Bouveau Cap. You see a stone path cut through these subterranean mountain farmlands, the light of the sun barely illuminating it through the thick canopy of overgrowth, its shafts revealing clouds of pollen and dust like golden clouds that hover just above the stone path. The path is covered with various vines, mulch, and bits of dirt that haven't been disturbed in a millennia, reminiscent of a jungle path. And this was only the northernmost side of the lake. You see but a fraction of the city, and as you look to the south, you see more farmland intermingling with Aarolendei stone farm homes, consumed by the overgrowth. And past that, you see more of the city stretching along the rim of this magical lake. More homes, more past lives, an entire civilization lit by the magic of the Aarolendei and looked over by the goddess of magic herself. The mist impedes your view of the other side, but you know there exists far more across, past the statue of Hecate. You see yet another city lost by time, locked away by power unbeknownst to you, abandoned by all those around it, and forgotten by all. Until now.